We know that this is typically the time that you're having lunch, so we're going to respect that time. We're going to give you some information about course registration for the 2023-24 school year. So yes, we are at that point that we're looking to next school year. So time does fly. Okay, just a little housekeeping things to address. We do have the chat room open. We're not going to take live questions right now. However, if there are some questions that you may have that that I may not cover throughout, or we may not cover throughout this, this presentation, please feel free to put it in the chat. We want to make sure that those that line of questioning is registration specific. So if you do have a question that pertains to your particular scholar, please email your counselor directly. Okay. Today, once again, presenting will be myself, Mr. Jones. I'm the freshman and sophomore counselor, K through Z. We also have Mrs. Carter, who will be joining us momentarily, as well as Mrs. Umofio, who's the director of counseling here at the school. Okay. So once again, this is for the course registration for next year. On your screen now, you'll see basically a timeline of this process, okay? Now, your students have already received this presentation, okay? We went into the theology classrooms to present to them and prepare them for course selections for next year. They received a form, a course registration worksheet that's theirs, okay? We have several copies on it of that. They do not have to turn it in physically. However, we want them to work with it. So as a guide, as they're going through the process of picking out their courses for next year, okay? We want them to use pencil in this because this is a working document. So if they mess up, we wanted them to be able to erase it and make corrections. On the back of that form, we also have all of the course selections for Bishop McNamara High School next year for the grades 10 through 12. So you'll see everything that's listed, everything that's scheduled to take place for next school year, okay? Some of these courses require teacher recommendations and testing, and we'll discuss that as well. This is the week right now, February 13th through the 24th, where the teachers are making their decisions based on the criteria in the bulletin. This will be the time that the students should be having conversations with the teachers in terms of making the case for placement for next year, or at the very least expressing interest in placement possibly at the honors level or the AP level next year. So this is when we want to have those conversations, okay? After the 24th, the student request period begins. That's February 27th through March 10th. Once again, that's when they can have the conversations with the teachers, with the counselors, and also they can begin the process of looking at the course selections through MACSS, okay? March 15th through the 30th, that's when each student will meet with the counselor individually, okay? We will sit outside of their classroom, we will sit across from them, and we will go through their entire course selection, okay? So we want to make sure that they properly selected everything. So we rest assured they will have eyes on this process. We're going to make sure that before they turn it in, all the I's are dotted and all the T's are crossed, and we're going to meet with them individually to assist them with that process, okay? And then after that timeline in May, that's when you'll receive a course listing, okay? Now, let me be specific about that. That's when you're going to get your course listing and not your actual schedule. Schedules will come out later in the school year, okay? But your course listings will be available sometime in May, all right? Now, let's go over the requirements for graduation. Okay, in order to graduate from Bishop McNamara High School, students must complete 27 credit hours. Okay, now the way that the curriculum is set up, most students, probably all of the students, thank you for fixing that, all of the students will have well over 27 credit hours. Okay, so students coming up short, we're pretty confident that that will not be the case, but we want to make sure that the students are taking the right credits. But at minimum of 27, most students will graduate with 28 or more. Okay, now It's very important, especially for the rising sophomores, to understand how credits are counted here at the school. Uh, the simplest way that we put it to them in their presentation was any course that you take from the first day of school, which was in September, and it ends in June, the last day of school, that's 1 credit hour. Okay, so those will be your core courses: English, math, social studies, theology, science, modern classical languages, fine arts for the most part. All of those are consist of 1 credit. Okay, so if you're looking at the screen, you can see that English, there's a 4 credit requirement. So students will take English in some form every year. The same with math, okay, and so forth and so on. So you want to be sure that when you're counting the credits, you want to make sure that the math is correct in terms of you don't want to put 1 credit by a health course, which we'll discuss later, and that course only takes place half the year. So essentially, any course that's half a year, 1 semester, is 0.5 credits. Okay, a couple of things that we want to point out: in order to satisfy your classical or modern language, there's a minimum of 2 consecutive years of the same foreign language. Let me repeat that. There's a requirement of 2 consecutive years of the same foreign language. Essentially, if you are in Spanish 1 now, the following year you need to take Spanish 2 to complete that requirement. Okay, now let's just say, for instance, you're a freshman and you're in Spanish 1 this year and you're not having a great time with it, and you couldn't see yourself with another year of that. You would like to explore a different language. Could you do that? The question is yes, you could change your language, with the understanding that if you do so, it restarts the clock and you would have to take the second part of the new language. So if you're a Spanish 1 this year, you're not feeling it, you want to switch, you go to ASL next year, sophomore year, you have to take ASL 2 your junior year. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Okay, it's also recommended that you complete the fine art and technology requirements in the 8th and 9th grade years. It's suggested, however, it's not required. Okay, and keep in mind that everyone's schedule is going to be different. And also, we'll discuss the possible opportunities for you to complete your technology engineering credit over the summer as well. Okay. Even though Bishop McNamara High School has a 2-year requirement of modern and classical languages, a 3rd year may be required or suggested based on the university of interest to you. So there are some universities who specifically state that they would like 3 or more years of a language. So you want to refer to that university's requirement once you start exploring a 3rd credit of language. Okay, and also a course may fulfill only 1 credit requirement at a time. For example, AP physics course can count as a science credit, but not as an elective credit at the same time. Okay. The next slide. Okay. Here's a breakdown of a guide, basically, of how each year will look to your student. Okay, so currently, if we're talking and speaking to the parents who have 9th grade students here, this is an example of how your schedule probably looks this year, or how your scholar schedule looks this year. As you can see, there are some courses that you're going to take every year. Okay, as mentioned, the English, the math, theology, you're going to take that every year. Okay, science, there's a 3 credit requirement for that, and we'll go into that momentarily. Okay, so that's just a brief breakdown of how your courses go every year. Okay, there's a 8 credit, there's a 7 credit minimum requirement each year. Okay, but it's recommended that you carry 8. 8 is considered a full course load. So if you have 7, that's under the caveat that you have a resource period or a study hall. So there will be some students who will opt for that every year, especially if you're in a program like the St. Joseph's program. Students use those resource periods, but that's something that you want to discuss with either someone on the counseling team or someone within the St. Joseph's department. Okay. Some new courses that we have here this year. Now we want to make sure that, very important, that you make use of the course bulletin. Okay. During our presentations, we had all of our students bookmark the course bulletin. The course bulletin is essential because it has the breakdown of every course and it gives a description and also has the breakdown of the prerequisites. Okay, so some of these courses, yes, they look very exciting, but they may not be open to rising sophomores. Okay, they may be open to rising juniors. So you want to be sure that you're meeting all of the prerequisites prior to you registering for a course. Okay. But some of the new courses that we have, AP African American Studies, Broadcast Journalism, that's going to take place in our new studio in our new building, the Digital Audio Production Design, it's a new Fine Arts course, and Statistics in our part of our Mathematics department.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Jones. Like Mr. Jones said, my name is Mrs. Sharice Carter, and I'm here to talk to you kind of about what specifically this looks like. All right, so Mr. Jones has already reiterated the importance of looking at the course bulletin, right? The course bulletin really has this whole outline of our presentation in it, but what it has in it as well is descriptions for all of the courses. And this is especially important when your students are going to pick electives. They might want to know, what do they do in archery? Or maybe what is physics or zoology about? Please utilize the course bulletin because it has a full description of that. Now, with that being said, here at Bishop McNamara, we require our students to take 3 credits as a minimum of science. So their 9th grade year, they will be taking biology or honors biology. And 10th grade year, they will be taking chemistry, our college prep chemistry, or honors chemistry, and you see grayed out zoology. Now, students are eligible in 10th grade to take zoology, but that counts as an elective. And so they're only able to do that if they have really fulfilled a lot of their other core requirements. And then, looking further along for your students, for 11th and 12th grade, they can pick their own science. And again, utilize that course bulletin to see which description might best align with your students. But then also utilize the course bulletin to see if there are any prerequisites for said course. Next slide. So then we have our technology and engineering courses. So here at Bishop McNamara, we require our students to take 1 credit as a minimum of technology. And so these courses sometimes are broken up into 2 courses, meaning, they take it for 1 semester. So they get 0.5 credit and then they take a different course for another semester or even a different year and get the rest of their credit. And so you can see right there, all grades are eligible to take like cybersecurity, AP computer science principles, computer programming, web design, and then you can look down and see the other courses that are available for students that they have to first be 10th through 12th grade, and then 11th and 12th graders for introduction to quantum computing. Now, it's important to note that for our technology and engineering courses, we do offer one over the summer, Intro to Computer Programming or Computer Programming, and that is typically gives students 0.5 credit. So our technology and engineering courses are the only courses that we really offer for original credit and not credit recovery. So our summer school is typically for credit recovery, so students trying to gain that credit back, maybe because they didn't pass a course over the regular school year. So then what does this look like for math? All right, so our 9th grade students typically are taking Algebra 1. Right? And you might be looking at this grid and you're thinking, Ms. Carter, there are so many lines going so many different directions. Don't worry about it. We are about to explain it. So if you look at the first box saying Algebra 1, these students then go to typically geometry or honors geometry. All right, then you go down and maybe they might have taken honors Algebra 1. These students would again go to geometry or honors geometry in their 10th grade year. And then you go down another box. If students in 9th grade were taking honors Algebra 2, these students then in 10th grade would be taking either honors geometry, honors geotrig, And then we might even have some students taking advanced pre-calculus. So then what does this look like for 10th graders? In 10th grade, the majority of our students, as you can see, will be taking geometry, right? But what does it look like for those then going to 11th grade? The majority of our students in 11th grade will either be taking Algebra 2, Honors Algebra 2, and you can see based on the lines which one they would probably go to, and then Honors Pre-Calculus. So if they were already in maybe Honors Geometry, they could possibly go to Honors Pre-Calculus or Honors Advanced Pre-Calculus. And then we possibly have some students that could take AP Calculus AB. Now, you might be wondering, what are the grade out boxes mean? This means that we could possibly have some students taking 2 math classes during the school year. So they would be taking those courses concurrently. We can skip this slide. All right. So then maybe your student is interested in applying. They might have been currently in college prep English, but they would like to then do honors English 10 during their 10th grade year. Go back. There we go. Go back. There we go. Okay, so if they would like to do honors English 10, their 10th grade year, and they are currently in our college prep English 9, what they would need to do is first have an overall average of an A for the entire school year, right? Or by the end of the school year. So the average at the very end of the school year needs to be an A. They then also need to receive a recommendation from their current English 9 teacher. So if your student is interested in being in honors English 10 and they're currently in college prep English 9, they need to have that A, but then also following up with their current English 9 teacher. But then what do you do if your student is currently in honors English 9 and they would like to continue with honors and move to honors English 10? So they need to have an overall average of at least a B by the end of the school year, and then again, receive that recommendation letter from their current English 9 teacher. All right.
Would you like me to take this one?
Yes, if you'd like to.
Okay, great. So if your student is in 10th grade, they have still some of the same prerequisites. If they are interested in college prep and they want to go to honors, they have to have an overall average of an A at the end of the year, receive a recommendation letter from their current English teacher. Now, if they want to skip from honors, not skip, actually, if they want to go from honors to honors, they have to have an overall average of a B at the end of the year, receive a recommendation letter from their current English 10 teachers. College prep to AP, they have to have an overall average of an A at the end of the year, receive a recommendation from their current English 10 teacher. There was a survey provided for them to just express general interest in the class and take an AP application test after school as instructed by their teachers. So today is one of the last days, but I believe they are adding an extra day for anyone else who didn't get a chance to take an AP placement test after school. So same for honors. If your student is in honors English and they want to go to AP English, they have to have an overall average of a B at the end of the year, receive a recommendation letter from their English 10 teacher, and take the AP application test after school.
All right, and so kind of going along and moving along, quick reminder about our fine arts auditions. So students that participate in our fine arts will audition pretty much every single year. So an audition is required for advanced courses in band, orchestra, choir, dance, tap, and traditional African music and dance. So if your student is currently enrolled in a course and they would like to continue their fine arts, even though we only require 1 year, but they would like to continue, they should speak to their current fine arts teacher, to follow up on when the date will be for that audition. So how we will then place students in the course is we will place them in the course that they are currently enrolled in. And then after they have auditioned and the fine arts department tells us what course they then will move up to, then we will place them. So for example, what this could look like is your student might currently be in Dance 1 this year. We will place them again in Dance 1, but then after the fine arts department lets us know how they did in the audition, they then might move to Dance 3, and then we will place them accordingly. So if you, oh, go ahead.
I would like to speak specifically to the rising sophomores as it relates to the 1.5 credit requirement for PE and health. Okay, in order to satisfy PE and health, there's a 1.5 credit requirement. That breaks down to essentially you're going to take 2 PE classes and a health course. Okay, every current freshman has taken a PE class. It's called Active for Life. They either have completed the first semester or currently enrolled. Okay, next year, every rising sophomore has to take health. Okay, so you want to make sure that health is included on the registration for next year. It is a sophomore required course. Okay, by the end of the sophomore year, that will guarantee that they've completed one of that 1.5 credit. The other half credit has to be an additional PE course that they can take anytime prior to graduation. Now, for some students, it's best that they take it sophomore year. Okay, so the way to break down, they could take health for half the year, and the other half of the year they can take PE, and by the end of sophomore year, they've satisfied their PE and health requirement. Okay, so I would encourage you, especially students who aren't really into PE, it's best that we get it out the way early. Okay, the overall theme that I have for your students is that we want to do what we have to do so we can do what we want to do. It's best that we get as many of these required courses out the way the freshman and sophomore year, so that by junior and senior year, they're taking electives that's geared towards their interests, especially towards college majors. Okay, also remember that it's very important that the students lean on us as we guide them through this process. Okay, sometimes the students can be very much influenced by their peers, and they make decisions based on what they've heard or what they think someone else has done. Okay, and sometimes they get in trouble in terms of enrolling for courses that they're not eligible for because they listen to their peers. So please have them rely on us. They do not have to wait until we come to them on that day that we're going to meet with them. We have students already who have come to our office, and we walk them through this process. Okay, so, and if you have any questions, feel free to contact us. Our information is on the screen right there. Like I said, I know it seems like a lot of information, but we've done our best to make this as simple as possible. So do not hesitate to lean on us and our expertise with this.
Thank you so much, Mr. Jones and Mrs. Carter. I'm sorry, Mrs. Carter, did you have anything else you wanted to add?
No, I was about to do the same thing you're doing right now.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much, all 118 of you parents. This will be recorded and sent to you, as well as the slides and the course bulletin link. Have a great afternoon. And I see a few questions in the chat, so I will stop the recording now and answer a few questions in the chat. Thank you.